Nowhere in this country are black students being more oppressed than right here in Montgomery, Alabama. The Montgomery County Board of Education continue schools, 90% or above are one-race schools. Only one school is listed where integration will be increased. This one school is Flowers. In zones 7 to 8, 6 schools are listed, and while blacks are moved from one school to another, an increase of white enrollment is not even projected. In zones 1 through 6, the school board has deliberately sought to decrease the degree of integration by increasing the white enrollment and leaving the black enrollment at its current level or even decreasing it. There seems to be something magic about 9% black and 91% white, as evidenced in the projected figures for the Downey, Crump, Head, Dalrata, Bear, and Goodwin schools. Perhaps the board has determined that 9 to 10% black enrollment is a, quote, safe figure for these schools, considering their location in the heart of a white residential neighborhoods in southeast Montgomery. A plan like this one often sets the stage for dissent and protest from the oppressed, while the oppressor, here I'm talking about the school board, rallies support and sympathy through their control of the news media. We urge Montgomeryans to take a positive stand for the desegregation process and turn this community away from hate and toward brotherhood. In attendance zones, did they involve community people or the plaintiff's lawyer? No. Here was a good opportunity for the school board to have improved the degree of desegregation. For the evidence now is clear that their projected figures which were approved in February 1970, have not become the actual enrollment figures. The record shows that the system's ratio is 40% black, 54% white, but 22% of these schools remain 99 to 100% one-rate schools, and 43.5% of the schools remain 90% or above one-rate schools. Let me reiterate, this was an ideal opportunity for the all-white school board to comply with the, quote, spirit of the law, unquote, and increase the degree of, quote, integration in all schools in Montgomery.
The study is aimed at examining the extent to which racial discrimination exists in Alabama prison system. In particular, the committee will examine matters such as assignment of prisons to various institutions, prison work assignment, discrimination in granting or denying privileges, employment discrimination in connection with personnel procedure, and other issues as they pertain to the rights of minority citizens. The committee hopes to have teams of its members conduct an on-site visit of Alabama prisons, as well as to have interviews with prison personnel, prisoners, families of prisoners, ex-offenders, and interested citizens in the state of Alabama. The committee will also be concerned with juvenile institutions, both state and local, and will select counties and municipal jails across the state.
We've already been into Baltimore, Newark, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Ohio, Detroit, Chicago, Memphis, and we'll be reporting back to the President and the Committee for Re-election in Washington tomorrow afternoon.
Is that Rochester?
Mayor Ford, what role do you expect to play on this tour?
The most important thing is that mayors and cities such as my city need money. We need money, we need federal resources. And I'm convinced that the administration is going to be in the White House over the next 4 years. And the message to mayors and to political leaders who have the responsibility of delivering to the people is that they develop a rapport with the administration.
Well, I think that if I do nothing else but cause blacks to pause and reflect for a moment on where they are and where they've been, and look at a man's record as opposed to his reputation, then we've accomplished something.
Well, I'm a Republican #1, but also I'm a city official in Philadelphia under a Democratic administration there, and I'm quite dissatisfied with the way those things are going. I feel the President has done a remarkable job for the black people, can do better, of course, and this is what we're out to see that it happens from here on in.
With the opposition that you have, Mr. Winfield and the incumbent Congressman Dickinson, what do you really believe your chances are of winning this seat in Congress?
Well, to be quite frank with you, and I must be frank because this opportunity may never come again. In Alabama, we have the best chance now that we've ever had in our whole history for a black man to get into the Congress representing the state of Alabama. As we count up the potential, we have approximately 35 or 36% of the vote is black vote. But in addition to that, we hope to get some white support. And if we do, then we can win this race.
Upon the problems of environmental pollution, the scandal of our state liquor control board, now I propose, as soon as I'm elected governor, I'll take that $400+ million in cash money out of these banks that's only paying 1.5% and 2.5% interest, put it in on 8.5% and 9% investment, say U.S. Treasury bonds, which are paying 8% nowadays. And if you compound that interest over the 25 years, you'll find that in one stroke, we have wiped out the bonded indebtedness of the state of Alabama.
Right. Stay on the page.
And maybe we can use that $70 million in additional taxes. We might be able to use it to solve some of the problems of the people that are paying those taxes.
Right.
Because 70% of the entire tax load of the state of Alabama comes from 4 sources.
Right.
And a poor man pays every one of them.
Right.
Sales tax, alcohol tax,
right,
tobacco tax, and gas tax. This is how we have been had.
Yeah.
Black and white together, we have been had by the man who says he's a friend of the common people.
Stay on the page.
He's got us up a creek, and the only paddle he had was the paddle of racism. Nigger, nigger, nigger is all the paddle said.
Stay on the page.
And we who are having a chance, and you particular young folks, the future of this state is in your hand. Don't forget that. Don't let nobody tell you that a white man or black man's any better than you are. Because God made all of us. And because his skin is white, or because his skin is black, it doesn't make him any different. You got just as much right to be president of the United States as Brother Richard Milhouse Nixon has. You got just as much right. You got just as much right to be governor of this state of Alabama as poor George has. In Mississippi, we're not going to run two blacks for the same office. Another trick. That's another trick. That's another trick on our white brothers. They can always find one that's got a price. They can always go pick one that can just do enough to split us up and put that one out there just enough to defeat us. And white folks will stay in charge. Don't do that in Tuskegee. You got a chance in Macon County. Step down, have some pride. Get the best black you got and run for one office. You can beat him. You're 84%. Running down here in Alabama, down in Birmingham, meeting last Sunday, conspiring to overthrow the United States Supreme Court. Can you imagine that? And listen, wait now. But if you had a black man in the Attorney General's office, you know what would have happened to him? We'd have sent out a warrant for their arrest. For meeting and conspiring to overthrow this United States government. That's what we would have done to them.
Well, for one thing, I think that the state definitely needs a change. There's no doubt about that. They need someone in the governor's office that's going to be concerned with the welfare of the people rather than with trying to build a political dynasty. After all, if I don't beat George Wallace, I mean, see, I'm thinking of Alabama first, but I think he's thinking of King George first. So if I don't beat him, you're in for a Wallace dynasty for maybe the next 30 or 40 years.
Some of the associates that have been associated with you in the past have said that you're possibly leading the people down a primrose path with your stand for running for governor. What are your opinion about this?
Which people are these that said this?
These are former associates that you had are no longer in your party, that you have, you're in this not for the party itself, but just for John Cashin.
Could you call some of those names since you've called mine?
former members of the NDPA.
Well, that's still anonymous, isn't it?
Well,
I am not going to answer any anonymous accusations. So many things like that happen, and if somebody wants to accuse me of something, let him come out and prove it.
I am announcing today my candidacy for the Democratic nomination for the House of Representatives, place number 2, the 31st District. This district consists of Barbara, Bullock, and Macon counties. It's the same seat that I sought for 4 years ago. I run for the Alabama legislature to propose. There's always that possibility. I'm running, and I will be running, however, based on my record of assisting particularly black people and all people, and particularly in Barbara, Bullock, and Macon counties. These are counties where I've done a substantial part of my practice and some of my, I think, very best work during the last 16 years.
Do you think with two blacks running in the same race, this could tend to cost the black race a seat in the House?
I think there is a possibility of that, but I am convinced that my candidacy is the candidacy, and that I can and am best qualified for this position. And I am really seeking not only the support of black people, but of white people. The time has come for Alabama to have black representation, and I think I've demonstrated my concern for the state of Alabama during the last 16 years.